Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm Davide Senatore and today I want to speak about module federation with Webpack 5 and Angular. I've made this video due to a request you made to see some code after the video that I published, in which I was talking about micro frontend. So I decided to take a particular video in which I will explain a solution based on module federation, and we will see together if it's difficult or easy to use this technology and realize a solution with this technique. So I'm waiting for you after the introduction. Module federation. Let's see how to achieve a solution based on module federation and how complex is to use this feature to create a simple application where we will share a module from one Angular application to another Angular application. Let's begin to see some code. For sake of brevity, I have already created a solution, otherwise it would have been necessary too much time. I created the workspace. In the video description you will find all the commands I've used to build the solution. The workspace can be created with the ng-new command with the skip application option, and it will serve as a container for all the applications. Immediately after that, I've created the shell application. The shell application acts as a container for our application. Let's say it would be the main application that hosts the various modules that we will build later. It's very easy to create the application in the workspace by running the command ng-generate application. I recommend that you use the skip install option so it won't launch the npm install after the file generation. Similarly, I created the application mfe as well, so this phase ends with a workspace containing two applications. Clearly, we can have any number of applications inside our workspace, but every application must be isolated, because we don't want to create everything inside the container, but we actually want to have independent applications that will have a life on their own, complete Angular applications. Let's take a look to package.json. There are a number of packages created by the automatic tool that will be installed with Yarn because of support of Webpack 5. To activate Webpack 5, it's necessary to insert in package.json this resolution tag with the Webpack 5 label. In the upper part of the file, there are a bunch of scripts that we will see in detail later. When we opt in with Webpack 5, we can launch Yarn to install all the dependencies that are necessary to run and compile the application. These two applications share the same package.json and they can be launched individually. Here I have created a series of scripts and I have also installed concurrently that allows you to start the applications together. So, as you can see here, when I will run npm start, both the application will start and run, everyone on its HTTP port, and we will see them inside a browser window. This is still not module federation. These are two independent Angular applications. Installing the plugin that comes from the Manfred Steyer site Angular Architects, and I take this opportunity to congratulate for the work he's doing in disclosing module federation. I'm saying, if you install this package with the command ng add Angular Architects, you will find the dependency installed inside the solution. But what are the results of installing this package besides the standard installation in package.json? It will create a Webpack config.js file for every application. Inside the file, and this is the real module federation, there are the components that we will share among the various applications. So, look at this. The Webpack config.js of the shell application does not share anything with anyone. And watch out, it does not define any remote. This because I'm showing a module federation solution with dynamic component activation. It is also possible to do static activation. Then there is the share part of packages that are shared between the shell solution that hosts all the various modules and the modules themselves. This file is extremely important, especially for the federated module part, because if we see the Webpack for the federated module, we see that we share two components from this Angular application, component and tests, that reference two components that we have defined inside our application. Moreover, we define a file name, remote entry, that will be generated for us by Webpack 5 at compile time, and a very important name that identifies the remote. At this point, once we have configured everything in this way, we can see how these applications are developed, and the surprising thing is that nothing is developed in a different manner from a standard Angular application. In fact, if we take a look to the federated module application, we will see that the component is very simple. Just like a standard Angular component that we are used to know. Also, test component that it's another component created is simple, and it contains a reference to HTTP client in the constructor. But the very interesting thing is that these components can run both inside the federated application that contains them, and the shell application that picks up them from the federated application and it brings them in its context. But how does the shell fetches the modules and embed them inside its context as living components within the surface of application? Let's see it. In the part of the shell component, we defined here an ng container with a placeholder identifier, and here we have this piece of code, which is basically where all the magic happens. And also this load remote module is due to the work of Angular architects. In fact, we have an import of the plugin created by Manfred Steyer, and the module is loaded by invoking a load remote module with the remote entry correctly set with the JS file name and port, where the federated module is hosted, the remote name, and the exposed module. This other is a test component. If I reopen the Webpack config.js file, sorry, this one, okay, you see that they are exactly these two names here, and this is MFA1. In fact, if I go back to app component here they are. So these two modules, let's say these two components, are taken from the remote application and dynamically loaded in the view container that is nothing more than the placeholder we defined first. Let's try to run it with npm start. OK. With concurrently both application starts. You can see start mfe and start shell. Now they are bootstrapping. And here it is. In the browser, import 3000. It's loaded the application that exposes the modules. While import 5000, there is the shell. In fact, you see that the component app is loaded here, and here the component from the other application is loaded with the test compute component also. The shell application is composed from modules residing in the other application. What are the advantages of such a solution? Clearly, as I already spoken in my previous video on microfrontends, the advantages are absolutely incredible, because it's possible to develop applications in such a way, completely disjoint, and use them within the same container and context. It's possible to make collaborative application and make sure that some features that appear inside an application appear also in another application. The next step would be to make these components communicate between them. It's a fun challenge that I've already realized, and maybe I will do a video on this topic soon in the Microservices series, so we will see together how to communicate between two components that doesn't know each other. This is the biggest challenge, because if they knew each other and maybe within the same application, it would be trivial because Angular provides all the features to achieve this task. But if they do not know each other, this is a little more interesting. I'll show you one last thing. Let's open the network and hit F5 to refresh our application. Here you see the loading of remote entry file we have defined previously. In fact, this is the file that provides the ability to load components from a federated module, hence the possibility to create a component inside an application and use them within a container application. Time to wrap up. It's better to use just a single workspace and create a shell application and module application within the workspace. Remember to install the Angular Architects package to manage file Webpack config.js easily. You can also do it by hand, but with the package is more comfortable. Remember that you can dynamically load modules. When I see this technology, I thought that it was possible to load only declared modules, and this would have been a limitation of this solution. Instead, thanks to the possibility of dynamically loading module, it's possible to dynamically complete your application like a puzzle, or like a Lego if you want, and this is awesome. You can find all the solution code on GitHub in a link in the video description. I hope I was clear enough to have given you some ideas to use this amazing technology. I'm actually using it with great satisfaction to create a framework that allows the developer to compose the application dynamically, starting with the components available in federated application. I look forward to see you on my next video. Don't forget to leave a like. Cheers!